Greetings and good Friday morning, this St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2023, third decade of the 21st century. If you're new to my channel, I always open with identifying the fact that it is in fact the third decade of the 21st century, because I'm always amazed at what sort of things we're dealing with, what sort of topics we're discussing, and what sort of things are going on right now versus where people had predicted us to be in the year 2023. With that in mind, just a quick heads up, more of a socio-political issue, perhaps even a sensitive topic. Just kind of like a delicate warning there. I'm not trying to approach this from an offensive angle. I'm actually trying like hell to be open-minded, but at the end of the day, I am who I am. And I do apologize. I'm getting over some sort of crud that I guess the best way to put it is like having the flu. I've been really congested here, and now it's moving to my sinuses. So without further delay, let's get right into it. So well over 20 years ago, while I was in the service, I met this couple. They had a little girl who was maybe all of about a year old, maybe even less than that. And we became close. We're friends. And for all intents and purposes, I was like an uncle to this little girl. Obviously, as happens, the service separates us and haven't seen him in a while. This young girl has since then gone on to graduate high school, graduate college, get a job, etc. She's in her mid-20s, and she's doing all right. As part of her growth into being an adult, she's sort of invested herself in a portion of the LGBTQ community. My limited understanding, and I may require some correction on this, is that she is asexual in the sense that if she has a gender preference with who she would prefer to be romantic with, my limited understanding is she's not ready to get physically intimate with anybody. But one of her best friends from college is a drag queen, and I think identifies as trans and is going through the process of transitioning. Now, a couple of different things. I'm sensitive to the concept of trans under the pretense that I do believe and understand that for some people it is a legitimate thing, and that for others it's potentially more psychological, where I exercise a tremendous amount of caution, because from some of the content and people I've talked to that are very well versed on the subject, it's a very sensitive topic, because for one person to be born a boy or a girl and yet just deep down feel as though they are not, and to go through the necessary process of physically transitioning, I think it speaks a lot to the mental well-being of the individual. But at the risk of offending people that I don't wish to offend, it's just not my jam. It's not my thing. It's just not. And, I'm a big fan of when you reach a certain age as an adult, you do you. I think at a certain age, we need to leave certain people alone. And that's where the majority of my thoughts and my opinions come into play. Let kids be kids. All right, if a boy wants to play with dolls for a little bit, let him play with dolls and see where this goes. If a girl wants to be a tomboy, let her be a tomboy for a little bit and let's see where this goes. Don't overly rush judgment and make some rash decisions that may not be the right decisions in the first place. But the one that really blows my mind, that I don't know how to deal with because I haven't had the opportunity to respond, is this young lady has been all over Facebook with drag this and drag that and drag. And I'm like, look, I don't personally have a problem with drag. All right, my limited understanding is it's a little tongue-in-cheek piece of performance art where men dress up as women and perform like burlesque style, shows. Whether it's karaoke style where they're actually singing or if they're lip syncing, but whether they're actually gay or straight, doesn't matter. It's men dressing up as women, doing their damnedest to look like a woman and performing like a burlesque show. The whole point is, it's very adult oriented, it is very adult driven, and it's done by adults for adults. At least that's the way I viewed it. And she's this young woman has seemingly been more of an advocate for like, no, 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 let's expose really, really young, impressionable children to this burlesque show in the full Monty. You know, in the very risque outfits, the burlesque style outfits, and have drag queen story hour. And I'm like, I'm very curious how many people within the, like, what the percentages of people within the drag community that think this is appropriate versus no, it needs to stay where it's at. I think we're at a point in the third decade of the 21st century where we are exposing children to certain things that they have no business being exposed to. That's just my personal opinion. I think certain content that was intended for a mature audience is now being exposed to children under the pretense that you're trying to be more inclusive. You're trying not to be labeled hateful. And it just blows my mind where is the common sense? And like the platitudes, like, I think it's okay that kids understand adults play dress up. To what degree, though? A grown man wearing a thong-style bathing suit with nipple clips? And I don't know if that's considered dress up or if that's considered something else. And look, we don't have to agree, but at what point in time do we as a society agree? A society as a larger group of individuals where the mob does in fact rule, where there's some pros and cons to that, where do we as a society agree to draw the line where, like, no, this is not appropriate for kids? And I'm so torn because I feel like this young woman that I've been like an uncle to, she's advocating for exposing young, impressionable children from preschool, kindergarten, all through middle school. I feel like she's advocating for this, and I'm like, I don't know what to say because I feel like it's wrong. I personally feel it's wrong. I'm like, look, this is adult-oriented content for adults only. Keep it that way. Leave it that way. You do you. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong in the adult atmosphere. I'm saying there's a reason we don't take preschoolers to strip clubs, guy or girl. There's a reason we restrict who can watch pornography. Even softcore, where you don't physically see the penetration. You see the innuendo. I don't know. I mean, I'm not, at the risk of offending anybody who's just looking for a reason to get offended at anything in general, I don't know what to say because we used to agree upon certain things as a society. And I feel like we're entertaining more and more things to normalize things that we used to not normalize because it was genuinely accepted that this is wrong. And I've made a video about this in the past. Like, we're starting to normalize minor attracted people. It's called pedophilia. Leave kids alone. I don't know. Maybe because I'm a father, I see things differently. But, like, when did we start to normalize the things that we're exposing kids to? I don't know. I'd love to hear from you. Anybody watching this, I'd love to hear from you. Look, I'm not going to deny I'm not a big fan of certain things. It just is what it is, but I try not to live with hate. If you come at me with hate, don't be surprised if I respond in kind. If you come at me with a civil manner, I will respond in a civil manner. All right? And if you do respond, I do appreciate it, and I will read, react, and respond to your comments. That being said, everybody enjoy St. Patrick's Day. If you comment, I appreciate it. You're awesome. Be safe out there.